So as I mentioned early on, the present Ghanaian president, Nana Akufo-Addo, made a call in 2019, which he called the Year of Return. This was to commemorate 400 years of the transatlantic slavery, and it was to call home black people in the diaspora whose ancestors were taken from Africa 400 years ago, and that was the whole point of it.
So now Akufo becomes president in 2019, and the country is in shambles. Now, I'm talking about as far as what they owe the IMF and the World Bank. What did they come up with as a country? The year of what? Return. So then you started to see a bunch of these influencers coming out, go to Ghana. Boyce Watkins, Oprah Winfrey, T.I., all of these big time people saying, Ghana, come back to Ghana, year of return. Year of return was a success. So now you started seeing other countries follow suit. Liberia has a year of return now. Sierra Leone gives you DNA by citizenship, things like that. So this brother here, Corporate Junkie, breaks down the mistakes that Ghana made because they couldn't take out any more money. They needed cash coming in.
And also why the call by the Ghanaian president was an economic strategy. Had nothing to do with the PR that it got. It was for an economic boost to Ghana.
So what they felt was, if we tell black people to come back to Ghana, we're gonna get these people who will come back, like Oprah Winfrey, your job creators, and then your professional skill positions. So these are the first two classes of people. Your big time people, Jay-Z, Beyonce, and then secondarily, your medical doctors, your attorneys. This is who we want to come back to Ghana.
So Ghana has been experiencing some challenges over the years. It is no secret that the economy of Ghana is on life support. It has been for a while. As recent as even last year, Ghana's president went to the IMF to borrow money again, which they were just approved of that. Ghana has defaulted on its loan. Ghana's economy is in bad shape. Ghana, amongst a couple of other African countries, are on the brink of civil unrest. They are actually at the brink of bankruptcy. It is pretty bad in Ghana. And I know that what we've mostly heard is a romanticizing of the economy of Ghana, but the situation is bad.
But if I look at the Ghanaian economy at the moment, it's doing, let's just be honest, it's doing terribly.
Not terribly.
Well, your inflation in your country, inflation in Ghana.
I don't know the economy in the world that's doing well. Tell me,
in Ghana,
where you are here.
Inflation in Ghana.
The highest inflation.
Well, 15.7%. The Ghanaian cedi has fallen 20% on the dollar. The worst after Russia, which has a lot of sanctions against it.
It's began to firm up. It has begun to firm up, and we're seeing the cedi systematically appreciating against the dollar.
People still can't employ. I was just reading today. People in the hospitality industry that you're pushing so hard. Having to lay their staff off. We've got taxi driver unions threatening strikes because of spiraling fuel costs. It doesn't look like a place that I want to go and put my money.
Let's situate ourselves correctly. The world is going through very difficult times. Ghana is no exception. Nigeria is no exception. There's no country in the world that is escaping the ravages of both COVID-19 and also the impact of the Lucre. But what you need to look at are where are the elements being put on the ground that look beyond the COVID and beyond the Russian-Ukraine war. I think you'll find that in Ghana, the recovery program that we have is one that is considered very credible, and it is what is going to give us the opportunity to come out of this period a stronger economy. And it is that future that we're looking at when we're attracting people, that we're looking at when we're attracting people.
Yes, that interview was done last year. And prior to that, their economy has really been in bad shape, which is why Nana Akufo-Addo wanted to do something that didn't involve borrowing money, because they borrowed more than they can borrow, and he needed to inject capital into the Ghanaian economy without a loan, without having it come from a loan. So the initiative, the year of the return, while very clever and very strategic, was primarily, and it was the goal for that, was a economic boost to the Ghanaian economy. He needed to find money or way for money to come into the country without it coming from either a loan from China or loan from the IMF, because he's maxed out already on these, and the interest rates on those are really bogging down the economy. And so he and his cabinet members came up with a clever idea, because and which has since been coined the year of the return, which now has morphed into what's called what they call it right now. It was called the year of the return, and it's now called beyond the return. Okay.
And when Ghana initially thought that, they got the last class of people that came to Africa, which were more or less the people who have been out of the job market and the unskilled from the black community. This is not all of them, but that's the people who were struggling there. So these people, I hate to say it, some of the YouTubers, social media influencers, people who didn't have predictable income came into Ghana. And some of these people came with not a lot of funding. They just moved. And then what they figured out upon coming is how expensive Ghana was, right? And some of them are engaging, not all of them, in what you call, what we consider land scams. Some of the best land scams in Africa are not just by Africans themselves. We have people from our community who are selling land, and they're out of desperation, and they can't survive there.
Like you said, the year of return, I think what happened with the year of return was, I feel like, you know, when influencers have a gig and then their job is to like push a certain gig and a certain hashtag, I feel like that's what happened. The year of return was, you know, developed and whatnot, and then all these celebrities and influencers were now saying, oh yeah, guys, Africa is the new thing. Africa is the new thing. You know what? Ghana is the new thing. You can buy land. You can do this. Yeah. So you had a lot of people relocating to Ghana and whatnot. But just to be more specific and speak for Uganda or Africa in general, because, you know, I think the bad side of the year of return is you got so many, YouTube people moving to Ghana. And why do I say that that's a bad side? It's because they go to Ghana and then I feel like they had no plan, and then they're making money off the people by selling a dream. I feel like they had no plan, and then they're making money off the people by selling a dream.
I feel like they had no plan, and then they're making money off the people by selling a dream.
Because right? Okay. Because now they're making YouTube videos of what people should expect in Ghana, or they're selling courses, or they're selling trips and whatnot. That's not a stable source of income. Well, to some people, I think it's a stable source of income. But you can see that them moving, they didn't have a plan on how they were going to survive. They just got here and then said, you know what, let me make money off my people who will also move without a plan. They just got here and then said, you know what, let me make money off my people who will also move without a plan. They just got here and then said, you know what, let me make money off my people who will also move without a plan.
They just got here and said, let me make money off my people who moved over here without a plan. And with that, shalom, shalom. Hey, shalom, shalom, family. So shalom to everyone that's in the chat. Actually, let me stop this audio from playing. There we go. So, hey, let's just do a quick audio check. If my audio sounds okay, family, if you could please just put a 1 in the chat. If my audio sounds okay, if you could please just put a 1 in the chat. And as always, shalom, shalom to everybody's in the chat. Big shalom out to my moderators. Shalom, shalom. Ema Cassandra, Ema Saul. Always much appreciated. Shalom, shalom. So, family, now I see a bunch of 1s in the chat. Thank you, family. So it looks like we are all good. All right. Well, with that, family, let's go ahead and get started, because there's something we need to talk about, family. There's something we need to talk about. And this is something that's kind of been manifesting and growing over the years. And it looks as though it's kind of, as you can tell, the purpose of showing you the video right off the bat was just to give you a brief history of the most recent manifestation of the year of return, and some of the background as to why it happened, where it was initiated. And then eventually what we're going to go into is you're going to see the scams that were spawned off of that. Because at the end of the day, family, it was a money grab. And I just see some of the comments, comments in the chat, and you were spot on. It was a money grab. And so this was back in 2019, here over in the States. If you guys are over in the States, I know we have a multicultural international audience. But for those of us that are in the States and that are the descendants of the diaspora, especially here in the States, we hit that 400-year mark. At the 400 years, you would hear me say over and over again, all hell broke loose, here, in the States and abroad. I mean, as we speak now, what folks will call the Middle East is teetering on, war that could possibly spill out to a global war or something much, much worse. So that's where we are today. Well, again, family, the purpose of showing you that clip right off the bat is just to give you the history of the year of return, right? The year of return. And the purpose, or part of the purpose of this lesson is to show you what's going on and to show you what to look out for and how this is impacting the Israelite community. This is something that we need to address, family, something that we need to address. And also just a disclaimer right off the bat. Fair use. I always forget to say that, but I do have it in the comments. So fair use. This is for informational purposes only. And also want to put out there, family. So this lesson isn't part of any organization. It's not part of the African Israelite Justice Foundation or any other organization. This is straight up Benayah Israel giving you a warning. This is Benayah Israel giving you a warning, not part of any organization or anything like that. All right. So again, as I said, family, 400 years, the 400-year mark was hit, especially, here in the States. All hell broke loose. And part of that, avalanche of things that occurred was the year of return, right? So there was a big push to get so-called African Americans to move back to Africa. And there's certain things that came out of that, family. And, one of the things is a scam, right? And so what I want you to let's take a look at the definition of the word scam, just so that we're all on the same page. So when I say scam, we all know what we're talking about, right? So scam, it's a fraudulent or deceptive act or operation, right? Something malicious is going on. And what you'll see here in these examples that I'll show you is that they stole a lot of money from our community, right? I mean, and it's not something and it's something that's still going on, family. I guess that's what I want to also share with you too. Even though this started, this year of return initiative started in 2019, it is still, the scams are still going on, and they are mutating. They hit the Hebrew Israelite community or the African Israelite community, and they started to mutate. And I'm gonna show you that here as well. All right, and then the other legal or definition I want to share with you is extortion, or extort, as you can see on the screen, where it says to obtain from a person by force, intimidation, or undue or illegal power, or it says also to gain, especially by ingenuity or compelling argument. And what I want to show you, family, is I want to show you, some folks that have actually lost money. I want you to hear it from them, hear it from their own lips about how they have lost money, and how they're actually going to give you a warning of what to look out for.
Akwaba, and welcome to Expat Life Ghana. I'm Ayo, and this is Tony, and we are documenting our move from Texas to Ghana as we go beyond the return.
We got robbed.
Don't say that. We didn't get robbed. We got taken.
Okay, well then in this video, we're going to tell about buying our land in Ghana, the story about that, and giving you some tips so you don't get taken.
You guys are gonna love this one. So about 15 years ago, my dad gifted my two sisters and I all plots of land right next to each other in Pram Pram. Money was paid. We each had our own deeds. And then a few years after the purchase, some money was sent for gravel and stone and sand to start building on the property. Where the land was, it was a really good spot. It was close to the main road. There was good access. And at the time that Pop bought it, there was like nothing out there. It was just grass. But it was in a great location. So none of us were ready to build yet. It was a really long time ago. I was still abroad, but we were all excited about this plan for the future and what we were going to do on that site together. Oh, and also during this time, the chief that sold us the land passed away, and the next in line is now in charge. I just say that because it might be important later. So imagine my surprise when we pulled up to the 3 plots just last month to find multiple buildings on it.
Yeah.
As in like 6 different houses and a random road and and the whole thing has me super upset. I'm not sure if they took advantage of my father because he was older or decided to sell it out from under him, or if they just thought because the land was for his girls that it was going to be an easy thing to take back. But all I know is it's wrong, and it's wrong on so many levels.
Absolutely. We are disappointed about this one.
So coming from a place who has actually been a victim of a wrong deal when it comes to buying of land, and also who has been investing in the real estate sector for 3 years now, I believe I have enough information to share with you and make sure you don't make the same mistake I did. And if you click to watch this video, I believe you must have once fallen in such a trap, or you know someone who had once fallen in such a trap. But worry no more, for I am going to be clarifying lots of things today that are going to make sure you or anyone else never falls into that trap anymore. But before that, let me quickly give you an anecdote of what happened to me. Living in Cameroon, I have bought 2 plots of land, and I actually fell into the trap that 70% of Cameroonians fall into. And to spare you the details, I actually had to buy that land twice, which is something most people wouldn't do and would just back off. And that is actually the push I needed to get into the real estate industry, as that incident actually pushed me to get interested in the real estate industry. So I am making this video for you to learn from my mistakes and also from my knowledge acquired within these 3 years of being in the real estate industry. Most African countries face basically the same issues when it comes to buying of land. And also, the first thing you should do when you get into an African country before buying land, try and know or master the system.
What African American community didn't understand was that, and here's another thing that's going on with the year of the return that I'm going to also talk about. In addition to the scam behind that whole year of the return, which essentially, there was no way, as I mentioned in that video, that was going to work. There was no way that whole thing was going to work. For the reasons I gave in that video, and I gave very concrete reasons, which if you watch, anyone with logical sense will see that that was a common sense thing, except those who just came. And then later on, I found out the ones that were attacking me were exactly the ones that were scamming their own people with the Ghanaian government to pull their people into Ghana to scam them using the year of the return. What do I mean by this? So when they announced that in 2019, prior to that, the whole idea of that was to pull African Americans in, as I mentioned in that video, to try to build Ghanaia's economy, because Ghanaia's economy was already flatlined, was already in trouble. And I mentioned in that video that they couldn't go to the IMF anymore because they had flatlined, and they couldn't borrow money from China, which is the truth, because they borrowed too much. As what we just read said about, they've gone to the IMF 17 times to borrow money. 17 times. And they've defaulted on their loans several times. The most recent one was last year in December. And that was a sounding bell to our African American brothers here, that why would you go to a country who's on the verge of bankruptcy? Like, I don't get it. Why would you leave a first world country like the United States and go to a third world country? And not only a third world country, you're going to a country who's on the verge of bankruptcy. I don't get it, right? But nonetheless, I also in that video talked about the ones that are actually going there. See, the ones that have sense did not take that. They didn't take the bait. They didn't. They weren't going to move. It's the ones that have this, gripe against the country here in the United States, or aren't doing anything. They're not working. Those are the ones that went over there. But even that, in that situation, why would you put yourself in a very impossible situation to go to a country like Ghana, right? First of all, your ancestors came from there a long time ago, and Ghana was a hub. This is the part that really, Ghana was a hub. Most of the slaves didn't come from Ghana. Ghana was just a transitory pathway for the slaves that came mostly from Nigeria. It was a transitory pathway. So the idea that Ghana was going to now somehow use and call people back home as though most of them were taken from Ghana, it's the most scammy thing out there. But nonetheless, and then out of that came the various people who were online talking about Ghana was giving out free land. Understand that? I mean, you guys have heard this. They were giving out free land to African Americans, which is not true. I've since I did that video, I received quite a few number of people that emailed me thanking me for doing that video. And they gave me a lot of more information that I never was even aware. The whole land thing was a scam. The whole giving away land was a scam. So here's what's going on. On top of the ploy of the, and I'm going to get to the other stuff I want to talk about. On top of the ploy of this whole, let's bring you back home because your ancestors were taken from Africa years ago, you know, and want you to come home because of the transatlantic slavery that happened 400 or so years ago. All that nonsense, right? On top of that ploy, there was also this money scheme that they were going to use through through the false advertising of so-called land given to Ghanaians, to African Americans. So many of those lands were given by chiefs in certain part of areas in Ghana. So chiefs of certain villages in Ghana, who supposedly work with the Ghanaian government to say, hey, we're going to give out this part. If you believe that, if you really believe that. But anyhow, they were supposedly chiefs, you know, that were giving out this land. But these lands that most of them were getting were not cleared with the families that really own that land. You know, most of you from Africa, you guys know what I'm talking about. Land disputes. You know, land dispute is a huge thing in Africa. Most times, most people go through the extent of clearing lands with family members. You can't register your land when you buy a land. Sometimes you go through a scheme of where someone sells you a land and the whole family that owns the land isn't aware that that land has been sold to you. This is what's going on over there. So there are various chiefs in Ghana giving out lands and properties of families who they have not cleared this with, selling it at upwards of $800, $1,200, $1,500 to African Americans. And these guys are buying it and getting what's called forged certificates, which seems to be real to them, but it's forgery. And it's only when they go and try to register this land in the land registrar office that they find out that this land hasn't been cleared. So that's one instance. The other instance is that some of them that are started building on land start to get harassed by, you guys know, the Omaniles, those type of guys. They get harassed that this land is not yours. And to them, they're thinking, because you don't know the system, you fell for the okie doke. And this is what's going on with our brothers and sisters in Ghana. This is the part they don't want to talk about, because everyone is romanticizing this entire year of the return thing. Now, I'm all for African Americans or British blacks or people, I'm all for that because I'm from Africa. I'm from Nigeria. I'm all for my peoples here to go and learn about their ancestors and where they come from. I'm all for that. What I'm not all for is people scamming people, deluding them on this whole idea of year of the return just so they can get their money and so they can enrich themselves. The only people that got rich off of this are the chiefs and Nana Adolfo-Akol, the Ghanaian president. These were the two people that got rich off of this whole man. Now there is a land dispute in Ghana that a lot of African Americans, and they're so embarrassed to say this. And I can understand this. I can understand because this is their money, their livelihood that is tied to something. Now they're all tied in litigation. There's a dispute in most of this land. There's one particular one, the Pan-African village in Ghana is one that's is involved in this dispute where the chief over there is selling lands that hasn't been cleared by the family members. And these African Americans who thought this land, they bought this land, who thought that they had this land legitimately. This is a legitimate land. They're excited to start building and investing in their land, are finding out now because they're getting attacks. They're getting people coming with machetes. They're getting people coming with dangerous weapons to attack them in Ghana. You guys are not hearing this. This is what people have told me that have reached out to me. And this is what's going on under the blanket of this so-called year of the return thing. And so that video was to expose that. And it was so sad that I didn't get that many African Americans attacked. Why are you attacking me? I mean, of course, most of them appreciated it. I mean, that video had a lot of great positive comments. Most of my peoples really loved it, shared it. You know, that was a good video. But to find that our African, the ones I'm looking out for, you see, that's the problem right there. Didn't get it. They didn't get it. And I'm like, okay, whatever, man. It's your money. It's your time. I hate that you're going through this. But if you can't listen to people, if you can't listen to someone who's from Africa, trying to warn you about the situation in Africa, I mean, that to me is a common sense, logical reasoning. If you can't listen to someone who's from that continent, who knows a lot more than you from that continent, who you listening to? You listen to another one of your own. And here's another part that no one is talking about. A lot of the scams were perpetuated by other African Americans. A lot of the scams were perpetuated by other African Americans.
A lot of the scams were perpetuated by other African Americans.
A lot of those scams were perpetuated by their own very own people who had websites set up, but get land for free in Ghana. Ghana's giving it away for free, whatever. And they lured their own people. They scammed their own people to make a profit in Ghana. They worked with some so-called chief in Ghana. Now, I'm not saying all of the lands were all dirty deals. I'm not saying that at all. There were some of them that were legitimate. But a great deal of a lot of them too, fell in a very shady scheme. And many of them have lost money off of this year of the return thing. Because for the life of me, I don't get it. Why anyone will leave the United States. Most of the people from Ghana are coming up here. Most people from Africa come to the United States. You're going over there, and you're not just finding a country though, that is stable. You're not finding one of those. No, you go find one that's on the verge of bankruptcy. You didn't do your homework. You didn't do your due diligence. You fell for the okie doke, and that's another thing with the community too. Is this, and I think that's why the Ghanaian president knew that they could do this with African Americans, because most African Americans, a lot of them, fall for these shiny objects. They really do. They fall for the okie doke, fall for something that seemed to be a trend, and they fell for that. And that's the issue we're seeing. And my heart go out to them. My hearts go out to them. But my advice for that community is, you need to, if it has to do with Africa, sit down and listen to people who are from there. Ask questions from people who are from there. Don't go with your emotional feelings, because you don't know anything about that country.
There is a lot to unpack. A lot to unpack there, family. So as you can see the brothers, or you can hear the brothers, see and hear the brothers' frustration, right? When it comes to, trying to warn people about the scams that are going on. And again, this is not to say that all folks that are selling land over in Africa, that everything's a scam, but at the very least, family, it's prominent enough over there that, you need to be mindful of what's going on. You need to be aware that you have a target on your back, right? That you have a target on your back. And what I tell people is that, you may not know, but my wife is from Jamaica, right? So I have a lot of family from Jamaica. And when we would go over to Jamaica to see family, one of the things that they told us almost immediately after we disembarked or got off the plane, right, was that they said, there's two prices in Jamaica. There's the American price, and then there's the Jamaican price. He said, as soon as you open your mouth, the price goes up. That's what my aunt said, right? And so literally, when we would drive around Jamaica, because we were still in that tourist mindset, like, oh man, we gotta check out the island, we gotta get some souvenirs, we gotta take some pictures and all this other stuff. Literally, whenever we would drive up to like some sort of shop that was on the side of the road, we would all stay inside the vehicle and have our locals, our aunt for the most part, she would hop out, she would have a blunt conversation or a friendly conversation with the whoever was doing the selling, and basically tell them, hey, don't be selling them that American price, give them the Jamaican price, right? And once we got that everything squared away, then we all hopped out and we shopped, right? But that just goes to show, family, that when people sometimes, depending on what countries that you're in, when people know that you're Americans, when they know that you're a foreigner, when they know that you're, walking around with the money bag, even though you may have sold it, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're rich or anything like that. You just that you were, saving up your money for a trip. But they see you as a money bag. They see you as an opportunity, as someone to scam, right? And again, just speaking in general, right? Not saying that everybody is of that same cloth, right? But just to, know that, when you go to these countries, there is a target, a proverbial target on your back for being the target of a scam. What I want to show you, family, is I just want to touch a little bit on the oral tradition in Africa. And what I want to show you, family, is that people in Africa know where they came from. Like they know in the direction that they came from. Especially when you ask a lot of the elders, they'll tell you straight up. So the oral tradition is strong, family, as to where Israel came from. Check this out.
Yes, Nigeria. Low water house no. Davi Mayo. Kegali, Kewan Tatale 50. Do you really want to know about where Ghans are from? Then keep watching this video. Channel no video no banner. Nah, baby. Okay, so guys, you're welcome to another video with my grandma. Miji Nigeria. Megubeo ke gamenje Israel. Ewa biane. Boji yomwe.
All right, so she is speaking both in Ghanaian language and also from time to time in English. But I'll see if I can stop it, family, and just kind of read it to you, just so that you can follow along. When she starts talking about where she comes from.
My guy is good though. What did you see? I didn't fumble and fall. Today, 100% A plus.
All right, hang on one second, fam. As you can see on the screen, I'm just going to stop it here. Yeah, my screen's super small. And this is what the elders and the forefathers taught us.
Israel.
The God people came from Israel. And while traveling, in their journey travels,
Nigeria.
They passed through Nigeria. And from Nigeria, they went through. Says through the Volta lands, to Nungwa.
Nungwa. Tema. Nungwa.
And then to Nungwa.
I'm about settle again. When telling about Tashi.
En route through, I can't read that on my screen, it says Lishi. And continue the journey. Some of them decided to settle in Osi. Some Central Africa.
Told me they
Yesu is my uncle. Jesus is uncle. Get at the Israel.
All right. Yeah. Sorry for skipping around there, family. But basically, they're saying that they came from Israel, right? I'm gonna see if I can grab the next one here. Hang on.
Yes. What Israel? What? I mean, what's
the next one's gonna be brother Go Black to Africa.
Yes, and he was an interpreter. Please watch the video of a brother being ordained as a spiritual guide, a spiritual teacher. But interesting enough, we were talking and you shared some very important information with me about you all being Israelites. Please share with us the knowledge that you have of the God people being the Israelites. What would you have to tell the people?
Yeah, God people came from Israel, and we immigrated through Nigeria to the Congo River and also Rwanda. Some part were left in Nigeria and also immigrated in Ghana here. And we, the Ghanaians, actually, we know we come from Israel, from the Benjamin tribe.
For those who haven't watched my video, when I was brought into a Ghanaian family, the grandfather, who was 104 years old, he told me they came from Israel. He told me they came through Egypt, Libya, through the center of Africa, over into Nigeria, and then here, resting in Ghana.
Yeah. So, and shout out to brother Go Black to Africa. So he does do a lot of these great interviews. And, as you just heard him say, family, he was talking to an elder who was like 100-something years old, and the elder gave them the actual route that they took from Israel.
How much do the people know they are Israelites? Because what I witnessed was some old traditions of worship that you can find in the Old Testament. Does people know that they're part of the children of Israel? Most of the Ghanaian people.
Sure. So most of the Ghanaian people knows that we came from Israel. But now our ancestors were able to teach a lot of people from Ghana that we came from Israel. Now we be going down to let our children also know that we came from Israel.
Yeah.
And now we have been immigrated into Ghana here now.
My name is Modric Mairesera of the Aralen Lemba Synagogue.
Okay, so and now he's talking to the Lemba tribe. He's at a synagogue talking to an elder or the leader of the Lemba tribe.
Okay, so we're at the Lemba Synagogue. Yes, and you are the leader here.
Yes,
you are. What title would you have?
The president.
The president.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the Lemba. Can you please share with the people about the Lemba?
So the Lemba are an African tribes. We have Jewish roots. We migrated from Judea 2,500 years ago and went and settled in Yemen and stayed there until around the 7th century. And then we were pushed out by Islam because we wouldn't convert to Islam. And then we were forced into Africa, where we have been coming all along when we were in Yemen, coming to Africa as traders, bringing manufactured goods and trading with raw materials like ivory, gold, and other minerals, and taking them into the Middle East to trade with people there. And so when Islam rose around the 7th century, we were forced out because we wouldn't convert as Jews. And then we came to Africa and settled for good. And we have been here until 700, from 700 AD.
Yeah, so basically their oral tradition is that they didn't make it into Africa until 700 AD. Like they were over in Yemen for the most part until then. And actually, most I willing, we'll have another video that focuses just on the Limba. You know, if not next week, maybe the week after that. Got a lot going on, but that will be interesting. You know, it will prove exactly every single thing that not only that he says, but also one of their elders. They actually have a elder. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but they have a more detailed recap of the places that they stopped, and there's something interesting as far as the places that they stopped. But like I said, most I will, and we'll get into that in a later video. But let's keep going, fam.
Rather CE until present day.
So you all have a history, a long history of where you started and began.
Yep.
And where you migrated across.
Yep.
Africa, say it like a native. We're here in Zimbabwe, Harare, Zimbabwe. And I'm here with my family, the Limba of Zimbabwe. We're here to dispel a lot of rumors and a lot of lies that is being taught in America and in the Western Hemisphere. And if you can see we're here with this beautiful family, the Limba of Southern Africa. Some wonderful people. We just had service, and we're having a drink right now, and then we're enjoying ourselves. We're having a very good time. But to all my friends and brothers and sisters in America and in the Western Hemisphere, our purpose for traveling to this part of Africa is to dispel a lot of lies, a lot of rumors that is being taught by a lot of Hebrew Israelites, particularly in New York and in the northern parts of the USA. So we can ask some questions to get these those lies and misconceptions go away. And I trust and pray that you would heed, because these are the true Israelites, and according to 1 Chronicles 9:1, that all Israel should be reckoned by their genealogy, and this group was reckoned by their genealogy, and their genealogy said that they are the chosen people.
Now, the reason why I'm showing this testimonial from the Limba tribe, and it has to do with the DNA of the so-called African Americans. Now, a lot of so-called African Americans, when we do our DNA and we look at what's called the genetic distance value, right? And that's one of the things you've heard me talk about over and over again ad nauseum. Well, the genetic distance value, again, this shows you how closely you are related to a tribe or a group of people or a person. Well, when it comes to comparing, the so-called African American, the group, right, or an individual to the groups or the tribes that are over in Africa, what we're finding is that a lot of so-called African Americans are their closest tribe that they're, genetically closest to are the Limba. The Limba are the ones that are usually at the top of the genetic distance value, whether it be a chart or a table, right? So this is the reason why I'm showing you, literally the tribe that, most of you all that are probably on this chat, on this live, that you are most closely related to the Limba, right? Most closely related to the Limba. And, I'm a practical person, family. I'm like, well, if you're most closely related to the Limba, then maybe we should listen to what the Limbas say they're from, right? As far as what their oral tradition is.
And we are here with them. It's an honor and it's a delight to be with them. Again, my name is Benayah, and I'm here with the group. So we're going to do our question.
No, the Limba haplogroup is actually haplogroup E. We actually have the paperwork on that as well.
And answers. The first question to meet you, my brother. There's a belief in America that Jerusalem, Judea, is Canaan, is in Southern Africa. Is that true?
that is not very true. And greetings to all who will be watching us. I'm Hillel and good Shabbos also. To just put that matter to rest, the issue is not very true. Judea is not located in Southern Africa, and is.
So you're saying to me that that is not true, and Judea is not located in Southern Africa. You hear that? What he just said here, and he's going to repeat it again. He said that is not true, and he says Judea is not in Southern Africa. Continue.
Yes. So I think as the Lemba people, we have quite a clear history in terms of where we came from. We were actually exiled at the destruction of the Second Temple to present-day Yemen, and traced through Ethiopia, and also later on down here, with also our arrival here was also the beginning of the building of the ancient Greeks.
I don't know if you heard what he said, but he said after the destruction of the Second Temple, right? And they came to Yemen. And they also said that they were also in Babylon as well. So just to kind of put stuff into perspective, a lot of times when we're reading the scriptures, you may not know that your DNA, is most closely to the Lemba, and according to their oral traditions, whenever you read the scriptures that talk about Babylon, according to the Lemba, they were in captivity in Babylon. So that means that whenever you read that your forefathers were literally in Babylon. That when they came out of Babylon, that group that came out of Babylon, and then they were the first to rebuild the walls in Jerusalem, that literally your forefathers were the ones that rebuilt the walls in Jerusalem. You may not know that. You're over here in the States or you're scattered abroad, but according to your DNA, you are the ones, or you are descended from the ones that actually did it.
Within Southern Africa here. So our history is quite clear, though it is oral, but we have a very strong oral and also factual history which has been proven both scientifically or even through the scriptures themselves. So that idea of or that rumor or that fact, that talk of saying Southern Africa is the home of Canaan or Judea is more or less not very factual or not very true.
What he just said, that they were exiled, and we were exiled because of disobedience. If we had kept the statutes of the Mosai and the commandments, we would have not been kicked out of our land. But because of disobedience, the chosen people were kicked out. They came through Yemen and they wind up here in Southern Africa. And again, he's saying that Jerusalem or Judea is not in Southern Africa. Next question.
All right. Yeah. Well, apologize for the noise, family. I forgot to actually try to clean that audio up. I do have a program that actually can isolate voices or whatnot, but I've, in preparation for the for this live, I actually forgot to do that. So apologies on that, family. But in any case, you heard from the Lemba themselves that when it comes to their history, where they're from, they did not go into the transatlantic slave trade. Their history wasn't taught to them by the people that ruled over them. So their history was passed down from generation to generation. So I don't know if you could hear that gentleman, that there was a lot of noise, but basically he says that, their history is clear. Like they don't have any ambiguity or any questions as far as, where they came from, the places that they stopped, and, who they are. And I will say, and like I said, we got something on the limb, but it's coming up. We can prove what he just said. Hallelujah. We can prove what he just said. It'll be the first time we'll do this. But in any case, family, so what I want to show you, family, is again, this is something practical. I just want to show you something practical that, you just heard from the Lemba as far as like, where they are, where they came from. And like I told you earlier, family, is that a lot of so-called African Americans, your DNA, the genetic distance value, basically the tribe that you're the most closely related to via genetic distance value, family. I got to stress that genetic distance value. You have to compare or look at your DNA in comparison to other tribes in Africa via the genetic distance value. This is the ones that you are most closely related to, right? That most of us are most closely related to the Lemba. And this is going to show you just a fun fact about the limba that you may not know that really does kind of show the silliness about, well, let me just read it to you. So a lot of us are related to the limba, right? So in this book, what I want to show you or read to you, family, is actually have you ever thought about, family, like what does the name limba mean? So they're called limba. They're over in South Africa. Why are they called limba? What does the name limba mean, right? And actually people or scientists, researchers have already looked that up. And this is what they came up with, family. Let's take a look at what does the name limba mean? And basically what they're going to do, family, is that they're going to give you the definition of the word limba from a Northeast Bantu perspective, right? From a Northeast Bantu perspective, which is where they said they come from, right? So they came from the Northeast Africa. So let's look at the description or the definition of the word limba from a Northeast Bantu perspective. Let's read about it. It says, the name limba may have been derived from the Swahili chalimba, meaning the turban headgear of East Africa Arabs, or from limbai. It says a word in many African languages, meaning not from Africa, or respected foreigner. Wait. You mean that the word limba could come from this word limbai, which is a word in many African languages, and it literally means not from Africa. Come on, family. Come on. It said, or respected foreigner. So when you run your DNA and limba shows up at the top of your list as far as that being the closest tribe that you're related to, just know that that word limba literally means not from Africa. Come on, family.
Korean man is from Korea. An Italian woman is from Italy. An African American is from... Do you see the dilemma? Most Americans know what country their ancestors hailed, what foods they ate, songs they sang, beliefs they espoused, what traits run in their families. African Americans don't have that. They're not known by a country, but instead defined by a skin color or a continent of 54 countries. Who were the people that were brought to America on slave ships? What's their history? We're building a destination that will answer those questions. The before slavery experience will be like time travel, an extraordinary blend of ancient knowledge delivered through the best of today's technological advances. It will be a full sensory, interactive, and memorable walk through time, a time before the transatlantic slave trade, an experience to treasure for a lifetime. The Before Slavery Experience is a project of the Vibrant Health Association. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization established in 2004 by a minority woman to educate the public on all aspects of our humanity, knowledge of self, mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional health. We will have virtual and augmented reality activities that are gaining in popularity. The immersive tour is our main feature, but we will also offer school field trips, corporate events, reunions, and will offer multi-generational African dance classes, arts and crafts, computer literacy for seniors, robotics training, lectures, presentations, and family tree research. There's something for all age groups. You can also enjoy the cafe, the gift shop, and the reflection garden. But we need your help to make this happen. Thank you for your consideration.